Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. We'd like to present to you 3 articles of interest. Excuse me. Before I do that, I would like to let you know that this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. It does not take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is PC Mag, and the story by Kate Irwin. Headline reads, Google's quantum chip can do in 5 minutes what would take other computers 10 septillion years. Pretty amazing, right? Here's the actual picture of the computer as it's stated. Caption reads, Google's quantum chip can do in 5 minutes that would take other computers 10 septillion years. Credit goes to Picture Alliance via Getty Images. That is copyright. Credit goes to Picture Alliance via Getty Images. Google's quantum computing division unveiled a new chip dubbed Willow that tech giant says makes it infinitely faster and better than existing supercomputers. The chip addresses major problems with quantum computers as we know them today. First, Google claims Google claims Willow can reduce quantum computing errors, quote, exponentially, unquote. Quantum computers, as Microsoft Azure Quantum explains, are more prone to errors than classical computers because they exist in fragile states. And researchers believe that the quantum computers need more qubits to be more powerful, but more qubits also means more errors. Tackling this error issue has long been the quantum computing sector's largest challenge, one Google may be able to tackle. Quote, the more qubits we use in Willow, the more readers errors and the more quantum the system becomes, unquote, writes Google Quantum AI lead Hartmut Nevin. A qubit is a basic unit of quantum information and a building block for a quantum computer. For the Willow chip, credit goes to Google, quote, we tested even larger arrays of physical qubits, scaling up from a grid of 3 by 3 coded qubits to a grid of 5.5 to a grid by 7.7 by 7. And each time, using our latest advances for quantum error correction, we were able to cut the error rate in half. In other words, we achieved exponential reduction in the error rate. Nevin concluded. In a related video, Google's Quantum Willow chip cracks the impossible in minutes. As per No Techie, that video will be available upon publishing of this review, but only on Rumble, as YouTube does not allow links to its articles in the comments section. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to Rumble, and so in the YouTube comment section, I'll put the name of my Rumble channel and the link, and then you'll be able to access it accordingly. Google has been working on quantum chips for the past decade, and the latest Willow chip is so fast that it can compete with the computation in less than 5 minutes that would take a leading supercomputer of today, like the Frontier supercomputer in Tennessee, 10 septillion years. And you can see how many zeros: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 10 times 10 to the 24th. I'm going to say 1 times 10 to the 24th, but yeah. Which is technically older than the universe itself, according to the company. Okay, interesting. Quote, it lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes, in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse, unquote. Nevin said, citing David Deutsch's prediction detailed in a 1997 book, The Fabric of Reality. In 2019, Google previously did a quantum computation in 200 seconds that would have taken the fastest supercomputer at that time 10,000 years, but IBM dismissed its claims, arguing that the classic computer go through the same calculation with greater, quote, fidelity in 2.5 days and argue that the, quote, quantum supremacy, unquote, had yet to be achieved. With quantum computers are arguably still in the early stages, some researchers have already been started to show how such machines might be able to disrupt our lives in the future or potentially make them better. Chinese researchers have been able to crack military grade with one machine, partly affirming a theory that quantum computers could eventually make present-day encryption methods obsolete. But quantum computers could also help us better understand the universe and could solve different computational problems. As the industry develops, some quantum firms are also looking to establish manufacturing to North America to ensure American and Canadian national security. All right, that does it for our first article of the review. Let's go to our second article of review. And before I do that, I would like to let you know that this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. It's not meant to take credit for I'm not trying to take credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is Popular Mechanics. Story by Darren Orff. Headline reads, Scientists turned a quantum computer into a time crystal. Ahead of you is such time crystal, I believe. And the caption is, Wah. Copyright Imagine Photographer, Getty Images. Here are some main points from the article to remember. For quantum computers to unleash their full potential, they need to be more resilient, capable of reducing errors and avoidance decoherence. As described in a new study for Chinese and US scientists, the team successfully embedded its inherent stability of topographical time crystal into a quantum computer, which then showed signs of increased robustness. Although it is a long way from being implemented to quantum computers more broadly, this study shows a quantum system of time crystals holds a promise for the future of quantum computing. Quantum computing, much like fusion or room temperature superconductors, always feels years away from making a profound impact on human life. And while that slow progress can feel frustrating, there's a reason why these concepts remain relentlessly pursued around the world. A room temperature superconductor would revolutionize the electric grid. Fusion would bring power to the sun to the earth. Power of the sun to the earth. And quantum computing could solve problems, even immensely complex ones like climate change, that we would never hope to solve with classical computing alone. But like fusion and supercomputers, a few things stand in the way of quantum computing dream, and chief among them is the lack of resilience. Due to the tricky science that underpins quantum computers, these machines are incredibly susceptible to the noise and errors which eventually lead to decoherence, which is a cessation of the quantum superposition state that makes qubits so useful. So to improve resilience, a team of scientists from the US and China leveraged the inherent stability of another quantum system known as time crystal. By effectively turning the quantum computer into a time crystal, the researchers were able to create topological time crystals capable of lasting longer than expected. The results were published in the journal Nature Communications. Other than being an excellent name for some kind of plot device in the 8-movie fantasy film, time crystals also seem to defy our typical understanding of physics. First discovered by physicist Frank Wilczek in 2012, a discovery that won him the Nobel Prize, time crystals behave like standard crystalline structures but across time. Where a normal crystal like diamond repeats an atomic structure, a time crystal repeats not in a physical dimension but in a temporal one. This is such a wacky concept because crystals appear to sidestep the well-known second law of thermodynamics. And what we're going to do is, at this point, I'm going to end the article there because there's something else I will end by the second article by saying that in a related video entitled Quantum Computers Fully Explained as per Cold Fusion, that video will be available upon publishing of this review, but only on Rumble, as YouTube does not allow links to the articles. So what I'll do is I'll put the name of my Rumble channel and the link to my Rumble channel. What you'll do is you go to my Rumble channel, you copy and paste the link to this article, and then of course into the URL bar, and then you'll be able to see it, and then you'll be able to watch this accordingly. Now let's go to a third and final article, as by the way, this is just about EVs. Yeah. Actually, okay, I can give you a little bit more. The study focused on topological time crystals, which sort of takes this idea to make it a bit more complex, not that it wasn't already. Topological time crystal behavior is determined by overall structure rather than a single atom or interaction. As ZME science describes, a normal time crystal is a strand in a spider's web. A topological time crystal is the entire web. Excuse me. And even the change of a single thread can affect the whole web. This, quote, network, excuse me, of connection is a feature, not a flaw. Excuse me. And it makes topological crystals more resilient to disturbances, something quantum computers could definitely put to use. In this experiment, scientists essentially embedded this behavior into a quantum computer, creating fidelities that exceeded previous quantum experiments, and through this all occurred in a pre-thermal regime, according to ZME science. It's still a big step forward towards potentially creating a more stable quantum computer capable of finally unlocking the future that will always feels a decade from our grasp. Okay, let's go to our third and final article of the review. And as usual, I would like to let you know that this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. It is not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is Android Headlines, and the study by Jean Leon. It looks like, yeah. Headline reads, the U.S. could take decisive step to remove Chinese telecom equipment. And ahead of you is the Chinese flag and then the emblem for Huawei. Caption reads, Huawei logo, China flag illustration, AHDB. For weeks, the U.S. authorities have been warning about a potential campaign of attacks from China on the U.S. telecoms. However, long before that, the government has been encouraging the elimination of Huawei and ZTE equipment from its networks. Now, the U.S. Congress could approve a budget of $3 billion to finally meet the goal of eliminating Huawei's presence from its carriers. Excuse me. U.S. Congress voted on a $3 billion budget to remove Huawei and ZTE telecom equipment. That's quite expensive. The $3 billion allocation is part of a proposal from the U.S. 2025 defense budget. If approved, the country could completely eliminate Chinese telecommunications equipment from its telecommunications infrastructure. The government launched the initiative in 2020, but it has not been an easy road. Only a fraction of the budget originally requested for the FCC was allocated. It is possible that the recent hacks of American carriers have reactivated the process. In 2020, Donald Trump signed the Supply Chain Reimbursement Program, also known as the RIP and Replace Program. During the first presidential term, the initiative sought to complete replacement of Huawei and ZTE telecommunications equipment with, quote, secure, unquote, alternatives. The issue of national security is already one of the government's main claims at the time. Authorities fear the Chinese equipment included backdoors and facilitated espionage by groups funded by Beijing. And in a related video entitled China's Cyber Attacks on U.S. Telecom Sector Raise Alarm in Washington, as per Money's Talks News. This video will be available upon the publishing of this review, and looks like it's an embedded link on YouTube, because it's a symbol for YouTube right here. But it would the links to the article will only be available on my Rumble comment section, as I'll have this uploaded to Rumble and YouTube. But YouTube does not allow links to articles in its comment section. So what I'll do instead is I'll put the name of my Rumble channel and the comment section, and the link to my Rumble channel in the comment section of YouTube. By the way, just in case you're not able to see the comment section, I will let you know that my Rumble channel's name is Global Product and Gaming Review. Okay, so what you'll do is you go to rumble.com, type in Global Product and Gaming Review, and you'll see one of my videos front loaded, meaning at the top, and you'll be able to see this video accordingly. Okay, so yes, let's continue on with the article. However, the task is pending due to the lack of sufficient funding. The FCC has suggested a total allocation of around $4.98 billion, but so far Congress has only approved $1.9 billion. The House of Representatives votes in favor of the additional allocation of $3 billion. The plan could finally go into action and begin the process of total replacement of Chinese telecommunications equipment. The government is promoting the purchase of equipment from local companies such as Cisco and others. It was very interesting how Cisco is this. Supposedly, this company, it's a has-been company, but still they're putting on a lot. They're still the world's leader of networking equipment, not telecommunications equipment so much, but networking equipment and networking education. I can say for sure that's true because I also study Cisco networking myself. But anyway, let's continue on. Representatives also want to report on China's technological capabilities. U.S. authorities reports spanning approximately 1,800 pages detail the budget requests and potential provisions against Chinese telecommunications companies. The Senate also demands an intelligence report that discloses all the details of China's attacks. Americans want to have a full understanding of the technological capabilities of their rivals so that they know what they are facing. Even if the Senate approves that $3 billion allocation, there would be a shortfall of about $80 million to reach the FCC's suggested figure. However, it will be at least cover most of the cost. FCC Chairman Jessica Rosenworcel says the approval of the additional allocation is key. Maintaining the deficit would put, quote, both our national security and the connectivity of rural consumers who depend on their networks at risk, unquote. She said, plus the availability of telecommunication networks in rural areas could be at risk. This could compromise even emergency services like 911. Excuse me. On the other hand, a $3 billion allocation will not come from taxpayers. Senator Maria Cantwell, chair of the Senate Commerce Committee, said that the funding will come from the action of a wireless spectrum AWS-3. And the article concludes by saying everything points to the approval of the budget. The vote will take place this week, so we won't have to wait long to find out what will happen. Given a recent development, it is highly likely that everything will end with the approval of the budget. And this post, as the author wants to point out, that this post, the U.S. could take decisive step to remove Chinese telecom equipment, appeared first on Android headlines. All right, before I conclude the review, I would like to ask your opinion on one thing, which is, what do you think of these articles? And the first one, namely, being Google's quantum chip can do in 5 minutes what would take other companies 10 septillion years. The second one is, scientists turn a quantum computer into a time crystal. And the third one is, U.S. could take decisive step to remove Chinese telecom equipment. What do you think of those three articles? Are they interesting? Are they relevant to your life? And do they give enough information? You're welcome to give your opinion in the comments section below. Just make sure to keep it productive and civil, as we're only trying to add something positive to this experience. With that said, I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this article review, as you could be watching any other review, but you're watching mine, so I greatly appreciate it. As this did provide value for you to be educated and up to date with the news, what I'd like you to do is please click like on the video. That way you'll be pushing the algorithm and more people will be able to view and enjoy it. Also, if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. That way you'll have access to all the content on this channel, especially because I do have a variety of content on this channel for you to view and enjoy. And of course, if you haven't already, please click the bell button. That way you'll be notified of all my future videos. So when a new video of mine comes out, you won't miss it because you'll be notified accordingly when it comes out. So I'd like to wish you a great day wherever you are in the world. Take care.